He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.
All right, this is The Alex Marlow Show. Welcome, everyone, to the broadcast. Should be a good one today. I mean, it is President's Day, the greatest holiday on the calendar. It's actually a disgrace that we have a President's Day. There is nothing to celebrate about having a president. Everyone's got something. Got a prime minister. They got a monarch, whatever. Got a dictator. Should have Dictator's Day. It doesn't make any sense. We don't celebrate all the presidents. Why would you give a holiday to Jimmy Carter? Why would you give a holiday to Big Joey the Biden? Doesn't make any sense. It was Washington's birthday and Lincoln's birthday, and then people decided that was too many holidays, and I guess they couldn't pick one. I'm making a statement here, and this is not a joke. President Trump needs to end President's Day. This is the first item of the day, a big item. End President's Day. It is stupid. We do not just celebrate for no good reason. That's not what we do. That means holidays mean nothing if we celebrate for no good reason. This has become a time to buy cars and mattresses. And what else do? We should be celebrating George Washington today. If we want to celebrate Washington and Lincoln, figure out a way to do that. But I think it's probably just Washington. It's probably our best bet. He's our greatest president. And I don't know if there's a close second. I think he's the guy. I guess maybe you can make the case for Lincoln and hopefully one day soon Donald Trump, but Washington's the guy. And Trump's got a 1776 commission. He absolutely has to restore Washington's birthday as a national holiday and, make it around this time. And that's that. So I think his birthday is actually February 22nd. So we'd have to push it a week. But that's the move. We got to do it. We got to get rid of President's Day. I've been complaining about this whenever I've been on the air, which is now, I guess, maybe 7 or 8 President's Days that I've had a show of some kind. And I made this point every time, is that it doesn't make sense to have President's Day. It just does not work. So let's end it and let's bring in Washington's birthday. Let's bring it back and let's just do it. Let's just do the thing, President Trump. Let's do it. You ban the plastic straws, even if the turtles are going to die. No, wait a minute. We banned the paper straws. We brought back the plastic straws. Turtles are all dead now. We're all bummed out. It's not true. Turtles are going to live. All right. I'll start with the most absurd and viral article of the day. Is the entire world just completely consumed with the children of Elon Musk? This was my whole feed, my whole timeline over the weekend. And I will bring this up partially as a pat on the back. I said on last week's shows, one of the shows, I made a joke about how Musk brought the one kid to the Oval Office when he had that epic soundbite about the condoms in Mozambique. Those of you who care about such things, I was on Laura Ingram's show on Friday, and I brought up this unbelievable moment where some reporter tried to dunk on Musk for saying that we spend $50 million on condoms in Gaza, but it was really $50 million on condoms in a city of Gaza that's in Mozambique. So where there's more AIDS or HIV or something. So I guess it's slightly better than spending it on Gaza in, the Israel-Palestine territory. And Musk has said, first of all, if I made a mistake, just correct me. That's fine. I'm going to make mistakes. And second of all, is that really that much better to send him to Mozambique? And the answer, of course, is no, it's not much better. The American people are not excited about it, I think was what he said. And I made a sort of an offhanded comment that Musk has 13 kids and he seems to only like one of them. He brings the one that has the funky name with the, the Greek symbols or whatever is in it. And there's a lot of X's in it and some hyphens. And it's just absurd performance art by Musk to do this to the kids. But he does it because he feels like he's above a lot of rules, which in many cases he is. But he only had 12 kids that I knew of at the time. Well, as it turns out that I've got a crystal brain because he's got a 13th, and we learned about the 13th child over the weekend that he fathered with conservative influencer Ashley St. Clair. And I'll say this about Ashley St. Clair. I've never met Ashley St. Clair. She is friends with some of my friends, and everyone likes Ashley St. Clair that I know of. I will say I'm familiar with her account. She's got a good account on X. She's smart and she's funny. And she does on her X posts, she alternates between sort of trad conservative content and e-thought content, thirst traps, pictures of her looking good. And it's very schizophrenic and compelling, but it gets attention in that way because she's alternately sort of smart and funny conservative and then also kind of trying to get attention from men, but with sexy pictures and stuff. So it's a very odd account, but it does make it compelling, and she's very popular, and exactly the type of account that you would think would attract a guy like Musk. And according to a story in the New York Post, they had some sort of a whirlwind romance. So Musk with all of his kids, he does this thing where he uses IVF. He doesn't necessarily naturally impregnate the women, which is, if you have more reasons to think Musk is bizarre, that he's the world's richest man. Sure, he could go to bed with women if he would like, but he does the IVF. I guess he's trying to figure out who's the best genetic match for him for different regions. We don't have the full picture, but he's now up to 13 kids, and I think at least 4 or 5 different women, probably more. And we don't know the nature of the relationship. Other than that, Ashley seems really pissed off online, and maybe she should be. She acting as though she's trying to get attention from him, and he's not giving her attention, and he's just posting about whatever he wants to post about. All odd stuff. Ashley does something smart in that she hired Brian Glicklich to run her PR. Brian Glicklich is a crisis comms expert in the conservative world. I've worked with Brian on some stuff over the past, and he's the right guy to get when you're mixing it up with world's richest man. So that's a smart move. She's obviously a savvy person, but it really was amazing that the conversation online, my whole feed was all about whether or not it's okay for world's richest man to father a 13th child out of wedlock and basically have all these kids who are not going to have a father in a traditional sense, because we know Musk is not going to be present in any sort of normal sense. He'll provide a lot of money and resources. There's no doubt about that. But it's this very odd thing that we're in this space where a lot of people virtue signal on traditional stuff, and then they don't walk the walk, and they don't really know how to react when someone that they like and they identify with clearly is just flaunting those sort of conservative values. We just blew through the conversation online, just like, are they going to get married? Musk and this person, Ashley St. Clair, who he got pregnant and now they have a baby. No, they're not going to get married. Will the child have a father in a traditional sense? No, of course not. So are we offering this up as an exception, that this is a generally all parenthood is good, which we're a pro-life people, we don't like abortions, all that stuff? Or are we going to volunteer flat out that this is okay because they're smart people and they're going to have a lot of resources, and I'm sure Musk will make it so that the baby grows up safely and in a nice environment? I have no doubt that he will, but it's not a traditional Judeo-Christian marriage family unit. And part of what I'm working for in my life is trying to restore that. I want to restore the traditional household. I want to restore the American family. I think strong family is the backbone of this country. So if you're going to talk about this in the context of this is an exception because Musk is an extraordinary person and he can do the impossible. He's done the impossible before many times. He's got pieces of what looks like my kids' toys, and he's catching rocket ships out of thin air. Like, that type of guy can maybe figure out how to have a kid who's reasonably well adjusted. We know Musk doesn't have a perfect track record on this too, because remember, he had one kid who went trans, and then Musk said the kid is dead, basically. So it's not like he's the world's best dad. He's not going to be. So, but I didn't feel like there's a lot of nuance in the conversation offering up that this is an exception specifically because Musk is an extraordinary guy. It's just sort of generic. We always offer congratulations. Like, I don't get it. We're conservative people, and you can love them and you can love their accounts, and you can think that Musk is doing immeasurable good for the country, because he is at the moment. He's doing amazing good. And I have other content in the show in a few minutes on all the great stuff he's doing, but we don't have to applaud the breakdown of the traditional family. And we would like for people who are exemplars and are leaders in our society to also be models in their personal lives. Now, I know better than to get worked up if they're not. I've given this example before. I'll give it many, many times in the future, and I'll give it right now. My heroes growing up were Barry Bonds, Tiger Woods, and Kobe Bryant. Barry Bonds probably used performance-enhancing drugs. Tiger Woods stepping out on his wife. Kobe Bryant banging out on the maids or whatever it was in Colorado at the hotel. These guys are not great guys. They're not great guys. I'm not saying they're bad guys. I'm saying they're not morally pristine. But I was an athlete growing up, and they were the best athletes I'd ever seen, and I latched onto them for their athletic prowess. So It doesn't mean I'm going to live my life like they're going to live their lives. And I feel like it was missing from a little bit of the conversation, is that we really like Ashley's account and we think Musk is doing immeasurable good, but the 13 kids with 5 different women and kind of abusing the IVF stuff and not having families with traditional homes, not replying to your baby mamas so that they're sort of resorting to social media to get your attention. None of that's great. So he could do great with Doge, and then we don't have to act like it's perfectly awesome that he keeps knocking people up. So, or you can just admit that you don't really care about the traditional American family, and that's fine too. So on a personal level, I'm not overly judgmental on an individual basis because I'm not looking to make enemies out of individual people. I'm not looking to act like I'm sort of a Puritan because we're all hypocrites in our own ways. We all make mistakes. We all sin. It's the nature of being human. But I didn't think the discussion was all that intelligent online because I did feel like people were quick to take sides to the I'm on the team, congratulations, or I'm on the team, this is really bad. How about this is not the ideal? And if you're someone who wants to walk the walk as a person who wants a traditional family, we don't like this formula. But also it doesn't mean that the stuff at Doge and the funny stuff Ashley posts aren't happening. That's happening too. So just interesting. And I felt like I compelled to give comment on it partially because everyone else is. And I feel like I'm thinking about this stuff. But it was awesome. Ashley's got an amazing trolling sensibility. She immediately came out and accused tabloid journalists of trying to out part of her story and smear her and attack her. And then she did a sit down with the New York Post, including feet pics, which is that's brilliant. I mean, that's Trump level trolling, that we don't want the tabloids coming after me, but also I brought the New York Post into my house to take pictures of my feet. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's funny. They're smart people. They're capable people. I wish the child best. I hope the child does amazing things. And I would not at all be shocked if the child does. So, but, for me, I think in a general level, we want to have a restoration of the traditional family. Getting married, having many children with your spouse. I'm not an anti-IVF guy. Remember when the left tried to portray us all as an anti-IVF? And now like Musk is like the world champion of IVF. He's like he's an Olympian at IVF. And he's in the White House. They're calling him President Trump. I mean, President Musk. So, but just compelling. It's a compelling conversation to have because we all sin. But for me, I think that a child should get quantity time, not just quality time. I know a lot of men differ on this. I follow all the right-wing bro accounts just to keep up on what they're talking about. And they don't believe that quantity time between the dad and the child make a difference. I don't have that opinion. Some of this is not necessarily based off of data or research, just on personal experience, that I had a lot of quantity time with my dad. And I think that that's partially why I turned out pretty well. I think it's partially, I want to live up to his expectation for me because I saw that he put in so much of his adult years into making sure I had a great childhood. And that was a huge priority for him. And he taught me a lot of lessons. And I want to live up to that. It's a big part of who I am. And he's our night editor at Breitbart now. And he's great grandfather. And it's just, I want him to feel like I'm honoring that. And if he wasn't there, I don't know if I'd feel the same way. So that means a lot to me. So, and I like spending a lot of quantity time with my kids. That makes me feel more satisfied than anything else. It's the number one thing that makes me feel the most satisfied is when I'm spending time with my kids. So I know that there are other ways to raise families. There's busy guys, and we want our innovators to have time to innovate. But I also feel like that we also want to encourage the traditional family, and we could do both. But I just wasn't seeing all that online. I wasn't seeing all those perspectives. So I'm sharing it here. That's where I'm at, and I felt compelled to comment on it before we move forward. It's just one of these things where we're trying to restore traditional values, and I don't want to cheapen what we're doing. There are unique circumstances and people deserve love and sympathy and support. And I don't think these are bad people at all, not at all. But I feel like that we're trying to make big moral points and we want to make them with clarity, and it makes it harder to do that. When I consistently, since this show started 3 months ago, I feel like I brought up a dozen stories that are front page stories of conservative people who are causing themselves problems due to their sin. And that's something to be worked on. Like, we aspire to do better. That's it. We don't have to be perfect. We aspire to do better. And I felt like there wasn't a lot of aspiring to do better online. There was just more of I'm on team Jacob or team Edward. Like, it's a Twilight thing. Like, I don't know. Like, it's that we're more mature than that, right? All All right, President Trump is moving at lightning speed in his first weeks in office with executive orders, new policies, promises kept. It can be hard to keep up until now. Subscribe to the Trump Report. This daily email brings you highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week. Get all the details on the administration's top actions that day with in-depth analysis. You stay up to date on what President Trump is doing to make America great again. Subscribe to the Trump Report today at salempodcastnetwork.com/Trump. That's salempodcastnetwork.com/Trump. Get that up-to-the-minute email every single day with Salem. All right, let's change gears abruptly here and talk about media behaving badly. The left, we don't know how they're going to behave in Trump's America. We are tracking this on a semi-obsessive level here. A lot of them are freaking out, and they're not taking the correct approach. They need to take the approach, and they need to get on board and help Trump. That's their best chance. And then try to diversify from him in subtle ways and try to get him on something else. But they're trying to portray him as some sort of a fascist, even though he's gaining greater popular support by the minute. They're trying to defend all sorts of ridiculous types of spending. But here's a clip from CBS's Margaret Brennan, who's becoming one of the stars of the Trump resistance, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, that you have to watch it to believe it. Check this out.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list.
I'm very tempted to just blow past the obvious point that she's acting like free speech caused the Holocaust and go straight to Marco Rubio keeping a straight face here. I mean, what is he thinking? We got to try to interview him soon. We're going to try to interview him soon. I just don't want to act too thirsty with some of these guys, but we'll have them all on the show eventually. But this is just mind blowing. How does he keep a straight face? You're saying free speech caused the Holocaust? You gotta be kidding me.
To people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
No, it's not. It's really not an accurate reflection of history. I mean, we laugh so we don't cry in a way, but it's like, I don't think they can beat us if this is their take. If this is their take is that free speech is now going to cause the Holocaust, then that is, it's just not true. I mean, historically speaking, Germany had no free speech. It was not, they had no opposition party. It's just one of these, it's just the exact opposite to what the reality was. They had shut down free speech. They were incredibly hostile towards free speech. So it just, to suggest that anything different is not just historically illiterate. I think it's a reeks of a sign of desperation. They're just trying to they're trying to warn America that the Nazis are coming. They're already here. And this is going to continue. This is a different segment on CBS's 60 Minutes talking about Germany free speech laws now. Check this out. Another one, you got to watch it to believe it.
A few of the state prosecutors tasked with policing Germany's robust hate speech laws online. After its darkest chapter, Germany strengthened its speech laws. As prosecutors explain it, the German Constitution protects free speech, but not hate speech. And here's where it gets tricky. German law prohibits any speech that could incite hatred or is deemed insulting.
It's illegal to display Nazi symbolism, a swastika, or deny the Holocaust. That's clear. Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in the internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you in the internet, if I insult you or a politician,
that sticks around forever.
Yeah.
I'm just getting a kick out of how this looks just like the guy from Office Space. Those of you who are watching on the streams, I encourage you to watch the streams, YouTube and Rumble, posting some big numbers there. Appreciate you for checking it out. But insulting people on the internet is illegal. And it's one of these things where do we think that is that's what happened? That's how the Germany's overreacted to Nazism and to banning all sorts of freedom. And the country is not on a good track right now. Obviously, it's better than when it was under Nazi rule, but it's not by as much as we'd like. We'd like to increase that gap a little bit. But this is total vindication of J.D. Vance and his comments in Munich about warning that the threat from within, the threats to free speech, really is what's going to make the West erode. It's that the West is in deep decline. Europe in particular, the United States by a small degree, but is, I think, catching up pretty quick thanks to all of the great news that we've got over the last 6 months. But it is one of these things where it feels like that this is where this could go, where you say anything negative online, who's going to determine what's illegal and not? It's the government. So if you have a single party state, the type of people who are Joe Biden and Merrick Garland and Jack Smith, those types of people controlling our judicial system, then they're going to determine that any sort of mild slight is going to be grounds for shutting you down and perhaps locking you up. And then we're going to have real authoritarianism. It's going to be left-wing authoritarianism. So huge vindication from Vance, and kind of amazing that CBS exposed this on the same time that Margaret Brennan's talking to Marco Rubio about how the Nazism was caused by free speech. No, Nazism was caused when speech was shut down. So they're historically illiterate. They're very desperate. But just note that the left harbors these authoritarianism streaks. And we don't really have them in America. It's such a lie that free speech is under they want to also portray it as though Trump is attacking free speech because, he's shutting out the AP from some stuff because they won't call the Gulf of America the Gulf of America, which I don't understand why the AP is taking this stand. Their style guide has a lot of problems in it. We could spend some more time on that at a different time. But they're not inviting the AP to everything because they're refusing to call the Gulf of America by its rightful name. And I just a strange hill to die on for the AP, and they're doing it. They won't call it for, I don't know why, they just won't. So we renamed it, and they should go along with it. Why not? And so instead, they're going to just alienate most of their audience to take that principled stand. But in the meantime, we've got stuff like these Texas churches holding a drag Sunday where gender benders threaten to kill Trump voters. We've got some clips of this. I want to show you that free speech is alive and well in this country. I'm going to show you. Check this one out.
By the way, if any of y'all voted for Trump, please don't tell us. No, don't tell us. Or do, and do y'all sacrifice? Do y'all do that? Did we start? He voted for Trump?
No, I said the church's statement.
Okay, because I will kill him.
Yeah, so talking about sacrifices, if you can't see it on the screen, is the Texas Family Project, some sort of a fake pagan church. A drag person up on stage and saying he's going to kill someone who voted for Trump. So, it's somewhat tongue-in-cheek. It's a drag show. You don't take it literally. I mean, it's the drag stuff is very offensive with the kids. Obviously, this is anti-Christian in a lot of ways. But getting overly worked up over these people just gives them the attention they're craving. So I don't want to too much, but it's hard to note that this is something called the Cathedral of Hope also is another one where they're doing a lot of this trans stuff. I had a clip. It's too muffly, so I'm not going to play it for you. But it's a woman who's taken gender hormones, so has a beard now, and dressed as a priest of some kind and giving a fake sermon, and all of it is just very perverted. But it's allowed in this country. We allow for it. We think it's a disgrace, but and we're fine with this. This is how we'll live. We'll live in a free speech environment, and we're going to beat you because your speech, you're not going to wield it as well as we do. We wield our free speech better. So all we want is a free speech environment. And we think that in Europe, if they have more free speech, they'll have more peace there and they'll have better governance. So we're heading towards German elections, by the way. The Alternative for Deutschland party, which is populist conservative party, is going to have historic level of support. And we're going to watch the whole Western media call it the heirs to the Nazis, which they're not. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to call white nationalist, white supremacist, But it's really just people who hate the globalist left elite that run that country and allow for all those people to come in, like the attack that we saw last week, where a terror attack were from what appears to be a Middle Eastern migrant. So, all right. Trump continues to do incredibly well with a lot of his moves. Where is my... Here we go. This is Jonathan Karl, who's a establishment reporter, just contextualizing how well Trump is doing lately.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything?
So just to reiterate these numbers, if you guys can't see it on the screen, there's a really great graphic ABC's got that 63% want only two sexes recognized. And just know that number is probably much higher. There's probably a lot of people who secretly in their heart want that to be the case, but might not announce it publicly, that they would like the restoration of science and the end of this chaos that we've been in. 60% say deporting illegal immigrants is positive. So people want the deportations. We want oil and gas production, and we want an emergency to clear the southern border. These are fundamentals. This is what I've been saying about one thing Trump is doing amazingly well is he's taking the low-hanging fruit. He's taking the concession layups. That he's starting off with stuff that's going to be wildly popular, and that's going to make the pushback much less. So Jonathan Karl is a left-wing guy. He's warning ABC's audience that, hey, you guys got to figure this out. So because whatever you're doing is not working here. And they cannot find their footing. Let me give you a taste of this. So Saturday Night Live had their 50th anniversary special, which aired on Sunday, ironically, which is, I don't know why it would air on Sunday, but it did. And Saturday Night Live on Sunday makes sense. It just, they had to do something for ratings because no one really cares. A lot of celebrities, star-studded stuff, and again, none of that stuff's for me. I don't care about celebrities. We don't have good celebrities now. I think one day we used to have good celebrities, but it's been forever since all of our celebrities are so unlikable and not down to earth, not relatable, not appealing. So, but all these celebrities in the audience, and this was the portion of the night that got the most attention. It was Tom Hanks, and he was impersonating, I guess, a Trump supporter. Yeah, mesmerizing. It's just and I'm in stunned disbelief that this is supposed to be smart people, and this is what passes for humor. Tom Hanks, I guess, is scared of the black guy, and then he makes up and they do White Jeopardy. It's just basically portraying Trump supporters as racists in caricatures. When you're seeing these poll numbers, I don't think this is going to fight back against that. So Trump supporters racist, scared of the black. That's where they're at. SNL. Nice. Good. Fine. In the meantime, here's what Trump's up to. He is at the Daytona 500. First of all, he does a Air Force One flyover, which looks super cool. We got a little footage of this. I'll play this for you.
You are looking at Air Force One as it makes a flyover over the great American race, the Daytona 500. President Trump set to arrive any moment now, where he is going to enjoy the race with the tens of thousands of fans who are there, both in the stands, in the infield, and for the folks who are watching outside the actual raceway. But
it's super cool. To see the huge plane so close to the ground is really fun. And then he's in the Beast, which is the giant limo with the extreme bulletproof, probably bomb-proof. Probably have to have a pretty big bomb to blow that thing up. He's driving around and driving around the track. Check this out.
This is your favorite president. I'm a big fan. I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe. You're talented people, and you're great people and great Americans. Have a good day. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later.
That's very cool. It's good stuff. Give a nice message. I like that he's thinking about how to do this stuff. It's such a great contrast to Biden, who was just wanting to go to the beach in Delaware and just sit there and lick an ice cream cone. They have no response to this. Sheryl Crow is selling her Tesla, the aging singer. She had some good songs 30 years ago. She's posting footage of her selling her Tesla online, or Tesla's driving away. That's just creating content for me at Breitbart. Like, I'm very grateful. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate it. 12,000 comments for that at Breitbart News. I mean, that's the content I live for. We just want to make fun of you. You look terrible. And I don't know why you think that's going to push back on deportations and drilling for oil and getting us out of unnecessary wars. It's just not. So you guys got to, fine, keep it up. Keep it up. The Chris Murphy, senator from, he's Connecticut. He responded to a fake Lara Trump post. Lara Trump, but there's a fake Lara Trump page, said if you support Borders-Czar Tom Homan arresting AOC for giving illegal aliens instructions on how to avoid deportation, post a thumbs up, make your voice heard. Chris Murphy says it takes some effing gall. He says the swear word. Why do we keep doing this? Why have why is our rhetoric so crass? I played that clip, I think last week. I meant to play a clip of Anderson Cooper calling a former governor a dick on TV. We just keep being vulgar. You think that's is that elevated? We just got to stop it. Let's have some class. It takes some effing gall to have Vance lecture Europe on free speech, Senator Murphy says, when at the exact same time the Trump regime is threatening Democrats back home with arrest if they even explain people's rights to them. So it's a fake account. Didn't delete it also. So, yep, that's where they're at. Good, fine. Okay, I think I've got your attention on the Juvent Micro Impact platform. I've been using it, and I'll tell you guys, I did something that I have not done all year. I played 9 holes, hit some balls before, and I came home, and it was rough house day. All 4 of the kids even had the baby going, and they're getting big. I'm tossing them, I'm throwing them all over the living room. They're going this way and that. They're jumping on my back. I'm doing push-ups in the garage, and the kids are on my back. It is not good for my lower back. I've had lower back issues, and something magical happened to me. I recuperated from a very tough day on my lower back instantly. And I don't know what's going on. Perhaps it is the one change in my routine that I've made lately, which is I'm using the Juvent Micro Impact platform. Now, one of you emailed me and said, I'm all in, but I don't know how to spell it. How do you spell it? Juvent, Juvent, JUVENT.com/Marlowe. And you can get access to this cutting edge technology that helps you with bone health, longevity, stability, and for me, recovery. That's what it's all about. I'm still going hard. I'm in the gym now. I'm back on the bike. I'm back on the golf course, and I've constantly got a child on my back or on my front. And it is nice to know that I'm taking all of the necessary steps to make sure that my health is in good shape for the long haul. Very simple part of my routine. I pick up Master Marlowe Jr. from school. I jump on the Juvent Micro Impact platform. I get these micro impacts that are strengthening my bones, helping me recover while I stand there and I use my phone. I get my team to fill me in on all the news that's happening. And I get off the platform. I'm more knowledgeable and I'm healthier. It's a very cool thing that I've added to my routine, and it is something that I am convinced is going to help me for the long haul. It is a very low risk proposition I'm giving you, because if you don't like it after 6 weeks, Juvent will buy back the platform from you. They've got a 10-year limited warranty with financing options, and you can even use FSA funds. Sort of a no-brainer if you're the type of person who feels like you want to do the most for your bone health and you want to do the most for your prospects at recovery. It really is something that is just a part of my life now that I'm really grateful that is a new part of my routine. Juvent.com/Marlowe. That's JUVENT.com/Marlowe. Code Marlowe at checkout for $500 off. That's a great deal. Check it out. Take control of your health in 2025 and see the results for yourself. In the meantime, Doge is investigating potential Social Security fraud. Millions aged 130 plus are on our Social Security rolls. So there you go. 130-year-olds getting Social Security. And the Democrats have cornered themselves into this position where they are somehow opposed to that. They've locked themselves in. This is what I explained on the Laura Ingraham show, is that they're having a choice between acting like it's okay to have people 130 years old on Social Security, or accepting that there's this massive level of fraud, that they missed it, and now they got to help Trump clean it up. That is a proverbial lose-lose for them, and we love to see it. We love to see it. So hopefully Doge keeps up the good work, and a good thing Musk has enough money to pay for all those kids to get childcare. All right, let's see. What else is going on? I want Let's make the show too long. Trump's trolling everyone with a Napoleon quote, but it's not a real Napoleon quote. It's from the movie Waterloo. He tweeted, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." John Carney wrote this up for us at Breitbart News on my request. He's such a bright guy. He said the phrase closely resembles a line from Waterloo, the 1970 film about Napoleon Bonaparte. In the movie, Napoleon, played by Rod Steiger, speaks the words while in exile on Elba, reflecting on his reign and defending his right to rule. The line is not a declaration that a ruler is above the law or licensed to commit crimes, but a response to the accusation that his rise to power itself was unlawful. Napoleon argues that his leadership was not an illegitimate usurpation, but a necessary act to preserve France in a time of crisis. Nice explanation. I'm inclined to believe it. But again, it's not how it's being framed in regular media. It's being framed as Trump saying he's above the law. So this was the headline in the UK Independent. Trump suggests he's above the law with ominous Napoleon quote. Well, it's a movie quote, and that wasn't what it was about. But the media still freaks out, and they're just not trusted now. So every time they do this, I love it because they don't have the credibility. No one finds them credible. No one's interested in what they have to say. CNN's Caitlin Collins promoted a Luigi Mangione defense fund on her Twitter and then denied it. She tweeted a link to a defense fund for the legal defense team, for Luigi Mangione, the guy who assassinated a healthcare executive in cold blood, even though he wasn't even one of their customers. A rich guy, crazy, lunatic, celebrated by the hard left. And she tweets a link to his defense fund. And then she's going to go anchor CNN tonight and go to the White House and ask questions. These are crazy people. They're nuts, completely nuts. So they're still portraying all of us as racist. They're still lying about us. They're still raising money for criminals. That's what they do. That's what the left does. In the meantime, Trump is resetting the new world order. We have a great footage and coverage of Pete Hegseth's European trip from Christina Wong on Breitbart News. That's my Breitbart Fight Club episode today. We talk through all of this and the huge reset that's taken place, particularly with Ukraine and Russia. I think setting the stage for peace and fun stuff as well for you. So Breitbart.com for all the latest. I got some treats for you. Here is some other news that I caught. And let's start with Kamala Harris. She went to Broadway. So while Trump is trying to make world peace and cut the government, Kamala was at Broadway. Let's see how she's doing after her epic defeat.
Oh my goodness. You know, I don't get out much these days. And then, you know, but spirit's tired, but you cannot be defeated. Never let anybody defeat that. Because then what do we have left? When we think about like these moments where
we cannot be defeated because then what do we have left? Everyone's nodding along. She's wearing a turtleneck. I might have to add the turtleneck with the Q-zip. I just have not seen it pulled off. I just haven't. It's the email me aloha@alexmarlow.com if I'm wrong on this, but I've just not seen the turtleneck work.
we see things that are being taken. But also, let's see it as nature abhors a vacuum. So where there's a vacancy, then let's fill it, right? And let's know that.
Okay, so nature abhors a vacuum. So we see a vacancy, let's fill it. It's just all platitudes. Does she even know what she's saying? Does she know where she is?
Mm-hmm. We're seeing a U-turn.
I mean, she really hit the Chardonnay hard before this. Obviously, she probably does have a drinking problem. This is not we joke about it, but she probably does. So it's noteworthy because she's probably gonna be governor or president one day. Maybe not president now. Maybe that'll never happen. Governor of California, though, it'd be such a bummer for me.
He knew, he took those risks, but we have to be clear-eyed. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything, right? Yeah. These things all coexist. Mm-hmm. But I believe we fight for something, not against something. Mm-hmm. Yes. That's the word. Right. And that's our optimism, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. With that, I'll
I understand, what is this event? She's inspiring people on Broadway, to talk about the nature of rights expanding. Great. It's great. They got nothing. That is the narrative. All right. California spending $9.5 billion on healthcare for illegal immigrants while facing a $30 billion deficit, according to a report. So this is something we saw at CBS. So $9.5 billion on healthcare for illegal aliens. So this year, so they don't have money for the fires. We're running a huge deficit, and not to mention a lot of the expenditures when we're talking about education, healthcare that happen in the state. A lot of them are related to illegal alien populations that are not in the books. So just note that this is all Gavin Newsom's been in charge out here for a very long time, and when he runs for president, keep that stuff in mind. And Playboy returning to their roots. After they featured Lizzo as a centerfold, a morbidly obese woman. They had a transgender playmate. They had a relaunch event, as you guys might recall, with Sam Brinton, who is the disgraced nuclear nerd, as he is known online. But he is the person that wears a beard. I'm sorry, he's got a goatee and wears dresses and was in charge of disposing of nuclear material for Joe Biden. They did a relaunch of their brand to be more progressive in 2019, including drag queens and stuff. And now they're going back. Now, I'm not a Playboy consumer, not even for the articles, as the saying goes. So I don't really care that much. But I do like anything that is a setback for woke, to something that restores somewhat objective beauty. Beauty is obviously in the eye of the beholder to some degree, but we've moved way away from that and moved towards something that's just a total bastardization and unrealistic about life, because it makes us all unhealthy. When we're being told that morbid obesity is beautiful, then we're also being told that it's healthy, and it's not healthy. It's bad, and it's costing you a lot in terms of your mental health. It costs society a lot because it's expensive for medical care, and people would be better off to not be encouraged to be unsightly. So I like to make that point from time to time. And I'm glad that, look, I wish the woke moment didn't happen, but now that it's happened, I'm glad that it seems to be ending. And because that's good. We want to end. We want to move past this. We want to move past it fast. We want to move past it in a expeditious way. All right. Let's see. I've got some email and I got some comments on Missy. You don't have to buy me a second because I did the thing where I didn't write down the person's email. Did you see the other one where I made a mistake 10 minutes back? Okay, great. Thank you. So far this is my third mistake. What is this? Where is this? All right. So I've got a lot of email, aloha@alexmarlowe.com, and a lot of comments on YouTube and Rumble. I will read from some of those from time to time as well. This one is from Mike Lauer. Good morning, Alex. First, let me say I'm really enjoying the show. The 45 to 55 minutes is perfect. I listen to a number of conservative personalities whom I enjoy, and I'm realizing sometimes they're dragging out their shows. Yeah, this is happening because of advertisement. And I say this because I don't want to spill the beans on some of my colleagues, but some of them have long shows and they just drag them out because they feel like they can cram more advertisement in. And some people just throw the headphones on, they never take them off. So the show goes way downhill. But it's all justifiable because Joe Rogan does 3-4 hours and he'll make the case that the last hour is the best hour a lot of the time. So people do this and they keep cramming ads in, and it'll be very tempting if I have that. This show's new and we're selling a lot of ads. So this will be tempting for me if we keep selling ads. So I understand why they're doing it, but I personally, realistically, asking you to offer yourself to lend me your ears for 45 minutes to an hour a day, seems pretty generous. So I'm not trying to get greedy too fast, but thank you for noting that. Emailer continues. Let's get down to the heart of the matter. I'm anointing myself your gentleman's gentleman. It's obvious you haven't found your look yet. Please look at Peter Millar. A lot to choose from. Ignore the quarter zips. See, Peter Millar's got a lot of quarter zips though. So that throws me off. No problem, Peter Millar. Look, I'm a golfer, so I'm aware of their line because they're in all the pro shops, and they do tend to be the nicest of the golf type attire, but it's just such a generic look in general. Look, trust me, if Mr. Millar is in the audience and would like to advertise, then I will immediately retract that last statement. But I just went to the Peter Millar website, first thing, dead center, quarter zip, total generic look. A lot to choose from. Ignore the quarter zips. I'm a big watch guy. Once you find your look, I think you should be wearing a watch. Now, the problem with the watch is that I've got one of these guys and it tells the time. So this tells me the time. So I know what time it is, and now you guys can see exactly when I recorded today. So I don't really need to wear the watch. I'm not great at spending money on myself. I'm a generous person in my personal life. I don't live a cheap life, not a cheapskate. But I generally, if I have an extra $5,000 sitting around or $15,000 to get a good watch, then I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna either put it somewhere or I'm going to buy my family something. So unlikely I'll be getting a watch anytime soon. But let's see. Who knows? How big can the show get? Dan Rockaway puts on YouTube, great show. I think he's talking about the Ernst show. All your stuff is great. My understanding is an agreement was made with Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union that Ukraine was never going to be a part of NATO. I think Putin saw the Democrats undercutting that position, and that led to war. Trump is correct in saying this never would have happened if he was the president, and I totally agree with your analysis. So I think Trump, as I've said many times, but I need to cement this point, I think he's following on my analysis here with the Ukraine stuff, which is that it really was Joe Biden's fault. And this is a big opportunity for him to cement a lot of gains. So there's a lot of gains he can make. And Hegseth coming out and saying, we're not going back to the 2014 borders. That's where Russia got the Donbass and the Crimea, which have basically been absorbed at this point. They're having elections within Russia. And we're not giving those back to Ukraine. Or Russia's not. And Trump is not going to allow for Ukraine to join NATO. And once that's the case, then we can start negotiating with Russia, because Russia needs to feel like they lost like 1 million people in this Ukraine war. Has not gone well for them. They're not going to consent to losing any territory. They're just going to keep fighting because they know they can win the war at any point, given their nuclear arsenal, et cetera, if they want to. They just don't want to go to that level. They would rather this, I think, get brokered at a lower level. Trump can do that, but they're not going to be giving up additional territory for that. So, and they certainly are not going to have Ukraine at their doorstep, as I've said 1,000 times, and has now officially become a mainstream talking point, which is great. That's what I want. All right. Aaron Knight also puts on YouTube. Great interview with Senator Ernst. This should go viral to squash the falsehoods the MSM is portraying about the Doge operations. The Ernst interview I did on, was it a Thursday show? It was Thursday show, I think. That was one of the most important interviews I've done because it clarified a lot of the fake news. In that interview, you see that the senator is revealed that what they're doing at Doge is basically auditing. They're not literally going in and pushing their weight around and demanding anything and demanding people turn over anything. It's not a literal power that they're flexing. They're doing a thorough audit. They're looking under the hood with the compliance of these various agencies and people who are working at those agencies who are willingly complying. And those people together are going to be targeting the areas of waste, and then they're going to address them. But the addressing part is not coming directly from Doge. Doge is doing the auditing and the identifying. And that's terrific. That's exactly how it should work. We've called in an outside auditor, Elon Musk, a brilliant guy with many, many kids, and he knows how to do this stuff. He did it very well with the X platform, and he will clearly knows how to do it with the government. And he's working with super smart people like Ernst, who's dedicated the last decade in the Senate to identifying waste, fraud, and abuse. So that's it. Aaron continues. I think it's telling that Trump hasn't mentioned using AI and robots to streamline government, especially when at his elbow is the leader in AI and robots. I think Trump's tariffs are early preparations for the future. Trump is playing chess. I get a feeling they're using something akin to AI. I think they got algorithms that is essentially sort of what AI is. But, and I don't know how robots would do the audits. Maybe they could do the security, get some of those robot dogs out there. Maybe that's what it's about. But making sure no one harasses the Doge workers while they're doing their audits. But that's going to come. We'll have a lot of AI content later in the year when things slow down. But AI is a real frontier because it is the future. It is the present in many ways, but it's also incredibly dangerous. And if we wield it in a proper way, Vance gave a big AI speech last week that I didn't get around to that I probably should have. Maybe we'll spend some time on that coming up. But we wield this in a productive and powerful way, then I think that it could really bring America into a new golden age. And if we do it in the wrong way, meaning garbage in, garbage out, if the people writing the AI algorithms are the people who are doing the drag shows at the Texas church, then we're going to have a lot more problems. It's just going to solidify the problems and make them harder to undo. So, but that's worthy of a much longer conversation, not one we're going to do at this point in the show. So we're going to leave it there. That'll be the Alex Marlow Show for the day. Thank you for liking, subscribing, telling 10,000 friends and family members, emailing me at aloha@alexmarlow.com. And thanks to our producer, Misty. We'll talk to you tomorrow.